You can import Excel files. You can import many any file, because we're saying what's the data source. You need to get data from any source, from some source, into the studio so that we can start manipulate it. Okay, so in this case I'm just going to import data. So what you need to do is, in this case, is you need a path, right? A path is to say where is your data, right? So for instance, I'm going to go into my computer. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this data from my desktop, right? So on my desktop there is I'm just trying to show you the path where my file is, right? So my path is my file is actually in which folder, which file can we play with here? Okay, my file is here, intermediate R, and we're gonna open the file. Then we're gonna say, wow, yeah, okay, too bad there's no file there. Okay, let's just look for one file. Okay, I know here there's some files here. Right. Okay, so we are gonna get our data from datasets, right? So the file that you are going to work with today is, let's start with the, let's say we are going to work with empty cars, this data set. Then I'm also going to import so what I'm going to do right now is I'm looking at the file properties. I want to look at the property of the file. That's what you need to do. You need to inspect your file. Whenever you get the file, you just need to give yourself time to look at the file and say what type of file is this. So I'm looking at the file properties right now, and we can see that this is a Microsoft Excel comma separated values. Yeah, there it is. We see that it's an CSV file, .csv, and we can see the path, right? And this is the path again. So what you need to do, right, is I now know my data, right? That's the first thing that you need to. You need to appreciate your data, the size, in this case is 4 kilobytes. So once you have that understanding of your data, the next thing that you do now is to get the file, right? So there are many ways of getting the file. For instance, I can copy this location, I can click here, right? Okay, then I say copy, right? Then I go to my studio, to my page, then I paste the link, right? Then because I'm working in R, in Windows, I have to change this backward slash into a forward slash, right? So my data is empty cars, all right? So I need to convert this into this slash, right? right? So this is my path, right? This is the full path where this file is, right? And this file is actually a CSV file, so I'm gonna say it's .csv, right? Then I'll put this file in strings, right? That's what I'm gonna do, right? I just need 2 strings here. This is my path, right? Then I have this path object. What I need to do now is to import, to use the function, right? So the function that I'm going to use here is called what? Read dot table, right? Then I need to get this path in those brackets. And I can create an object called empty cars, right? And once I run this, right, saying importing data, okay, so as I'm waiting for the machine to read, I'm just going to talk about the library that I discussed in my previous video, right? I said that what you you need a library, right? So I'm going to install libraries, right? I'm just going to say importing libraries, right? So this, after when I do this, I'm gonna say library read r, right? So this is the library that I'll use. So read r, actually it's a huge library which has got like so many functions that you can use to import data, right? So once we do this, we have imported our data. We can now proceed with the actual importing data. So these are the functions that are in read. There's read underscore CSV, right? So what read underscore needs, you just need to give it a path, right? So I have already established my path. You know, I can now go here and pick up the file. It's the same thing actually, but read table is a default. Read CSV is a faster way of reading files, right? Which is I'm now showing you the latest. Then obviously you need to store this into a variable. I'm gonna call this variable df. All right. So I think at this point it's very key that I show you some important shortcuts so that if you are a beginner, you will not get lost, right? So if you put a hash, right, the computer will not read it, it will just skip it. So importing, so I'm just gonna say important shortcuts. So the most important shortcut that you need to know is it's called out and out minus. So what out minus does is an assignment. It's called an assignment key, right? Assignment key. So this is the key that I've been using, like this arrow here, or so this is like this, right? This is the assignment key. So you get it by saying out minus, right? So this is the key that you use. It's similar to it's also similar to equals, right? But in R, we prefer to use the assignment out minus, right? So I'll be using this to create variables which I can then manipulate. So what is a variable? A variable is an object that you can just use to store things, right? Let's say it has got attributes, right? So I can say, okay, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2, right, equals equals to 4. But what if I stored 2 plus 2 equals to 4 in A, right? It means A will be an attribute, will be a variable that is got attributes 2 plus 2, right? I can use it over and over again. So this is what I'm saying is that's the assignment. So if I can say out minus here, you are going to see I've got that arrow which I'll be using consistently in this course. I'll be using out minus, not equal in most cases. You know, so that's just basically the beginning. You know, you're saying, okay, you need to read your data into R, then you need to assign it into a variable. So now we will be working with this variable empty cars, or we can be working with the variable df. You know what I'm saying? So those are the first things that you need to do. You need to get the data from somewhere. Then when you have the data, you need to read the data and start working on the data. So I know this has been a very long video, but what you just need to remember, if anything, you just need to remember that if we are importing data from your local computer, you just need to know the path, like which I've said. You just need to know you need to know the path. Then after the path, you just need to use a function to read that file, right? So you can have a function there are so many functions that you can. There's read dot delim, which you can use to say, let's just say your I'm just gonna pick this file again, right? Read the lim, right, and paste in the file. So I can now say that the lim is equals to, let's say my data was separated by a pipe, a tab, or a space, or a comma. I would then indicate here that this is separated by a comma, as you can see there. So that's how read the lim works, right? You just specify, let's suppose if the data is separated by a pipe, you then put the pipe. If the data was separated by whatever, semicolon, you just put a semicolon. It's very useful to remember this. Is I will be coding. I don't expect you to know much, but I just expect you to know that whenever we start this thing, you start by importing a file, and then we then create a variable that will store that data frame, and then we start to manage